Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel for another live stream, live and alive from the garage. I wanted to show you that, first of all, at the very beginning of this live, because that is what matters. The flag, which represents St. George. Did you know that the original English flag was I think it's a griffin, a two-legged dragon, but that's what matters, our country, our people, and everything that's going on in it. I, like many others, am very angry right now with what we read in the news about what happened in Epping. Maybe that's the point. Maybe I'm supposed to be angry. Maybe everybody everywhere is supposed to be angry. And of course, Epping is not the only place. It's happening everywhere. And we're living in very volatile times where tempers can easily fray and things can happen. Is that what they want? Is that what they're driving us to? I wonder. Well, let's dive into this, shall we? But before I do, let's just remind ourselves of the individuals responsible. Here we have the thumbnail for this live. It's going to kick off. I genuinely believe that this is a very big mistake on the government's behalf, and they will hide behind the shadow of international law and European bullshit and European Convention of Human Rights, which we will come back to later. Pardon my harsh tone of this, but I am struggling to rein in my temper. This one, and you know who this is, the Home Secretary, who now has the power to turn around to Epping and say, well, bollocks to your temporary injunction. You are going to open your doors again to all of these visitors who we know absolutely nothing about. People who have been badged as far right and every other name under the sun have been kicking off for good reason. And it's been happening in Canary Wharf and other places. I think the British establishment is very worried about the reaction of people throughout the land. You often hear me talk about British as opposed to, you know, English, Scottish, Welsh, Northern Irish, British, and I'm concentrating solely on that British government, which is the source of all our problems. Now, before I go on, this is the judgment that was passed.
The Court of Appeal's decision on the Home Secretary's appeal relating to joinder as an intervener to the Council's application. The Court of Appeal grants the Home Secretary's application for permission to appeal against the decision dismissing her application for party status, and further grants the Home Secretary intervener status in the litigation between the Council and Somani. The Home Secretary has clear statutory duties towards asylum seekers in this country under the Immigration and Asylum Act 1999. These include the duty to provide support to them and their dependents and to prevent destitution among this cohort.
The Immigration and Asylum Act 1999, did he say? That seems to be the basis for this judgment. Now, why? Oh, why did that happen? Why that act? Surely there are other acts preceding that, which far more importantly cover the welfare of, in this case, the English people. It's a disgrace. Now, what's been happening all over the country is we're getting scenes like this. And that's going to repeat because people aren't going to take this lying down. They're going to get back out on the street. They're going to wave their flags, as you can see with those two pink ladies there, with the St. George's Cross, the Union flag. You know, people are waving the Union flag, but me personally, I would like to see more country-specific flags to represent your own specific culture, but that choice is yours. And we're going to see that all over the country. And one thing that I fear is that things are going to, in inverted commas, kick off because there's going to be a great many people that aren't going to be happy with this. Now, I want to go through the text of, you know, the whole episode itself. And then I want to talk a little bit about possible ways that this could have been avoided. And you can see that video up the top there. A hotel at the centre of an anti-immigration protest will be able to continue housing asylum seekers after judges overturned a decision that would have seen it close within a fortnight. It was only ever a temporary injunction. That's what we've got to realise. In a major hearing today, the Court of Appeal set aside an injunction granted earlier this month, which would have stopped 138 asylum seekers from being housed at the Bell Hotel in Epping, Essex, beyond September 12th. The judges also ruled that the Home Office could intervene in the case in a significant victory for the government. Lawyers for Home Secretary Yvette had argued that shutting down the hotel sets a dangerous precedent that would encourage similar litigation by other councils. Now, anybody that's in a council that may be watching this or is aware of this situation, cast your mind back about 300 years. Do you realise that the individual counties and shires were independent? You heard me right. You look over at the United States of America with the states and how they operate, and then you've got the federal government at the core of everything. You look at those individual states, how they act, how they behave. They have their own laws. They have their own tax setting legislation. They are independent. Where do you think that came from? This is why I always go on about England, the English. Following the ruling, Tory leader Kemi Badenoch said Keir Starmer has shown that he put the rights of illegal immigrants above the rights of British people who just want to feel safe in their towns and communities. It's not British people, it's English people in this case. And it's the British government that have done this. Reform UK leader Nigel Farage echoed this sentiment, writing on X, illegal migrants have more rights than the people of Essex. That is a load of bollocks, which I will explain very shortly. Reform UK will put an end to this. Last week, the High Court ruled that all 138 asylum seekers at the hotel should be temporarily removed following legal action brought by Epping Forest Council. Yesterday, the Home Office and owners of the Bell asked the Court of Appeal to reconsider the judgment. Why the fuck did the Bell, excuse my language, why did the Bell ask the court to reconsider it? Quashing the injunction, Lord Justice Bean, now he is going to be chastised for this, but I've seen some things over the last couple of days which have turned around and said he's actually quite good, even though in this case it really is a absolute duff judgment. Sitting with Lady Justice Nicola Davis, Lord Justice Cobb and Mr Justice Eyre, so there was a few of them there, granted the interim injunction last week, made a number of errors in principle which undermine this decision. We grant permission to appeal both to Samani and to the Home Office. We allow the appeals and we set aside the injunction imposed on the 19th of August. The judges also ruled that the Home Office could intervene in the case, saying that Mr Justice Eyre made an erroneous decision not to let the department get involved. Reading a summary of their decision, Lord Justice Bean said the Home Office had a constitutional role relating to public safety and was affected by the issues. Well, if they you can see some of the pictures there. If they have a constitutional role with regard to public safety, one would ask, why is this damn hotel in this situation in the first place if you're worried about public safety? Yet more bollocks. Sorry, but you can tell I'm annoyed. The judge's approach ignores the obvious consequence that the closure of one site means capacity needs to be identified elsewhere. That is actually quite true. We were told that. It would just take the problem and move it somewhere else. He added that such an injunction may incentivise other councils to take similar steps. He said, well, I believe they need to. He said the potential cumulative impact of such ad hoc applications was a material consideration that was not considered by the judge. The judge also said that the appeals were not concerned with the merits of government policy in relation to the provision of accommodation for them in hotels or otherwise. Touching on local residents' fear of crime, Lord Justice Bean said the Epping residents' fear of crime was properly taken into account by the judge as a factor in favour of a grant of an injunction. He described it as being of limited weight. He added, "We agree it is relevant, but in our view, it's clearly outweighed by the undesirability of incentivising protests, by the desirability in the interests of justice of preserving status quo for the relatively brief period leading up to the forthcoming trial, and by the range of public interest factors which have been discussed. The full written judgment in the case, which Lord Justice Bean said runs to over 120 paragraphs, will be provided later." And you can see there you've got some of the usual politicising of the whole situation, what they think of it, what's going on. Some more pictures there. You can see a George Cross has been painted on the reception board there. And it said, "So the party will be writing to all Tory councillors with further advice following the judgment." She added, "Labour have run out of options, so the only answer left is to dump the problem on local communities." Shadow Justice Secretary Robert Jenrick blasted the decision as extremely disappointing. Now, Yvette Cooper used taxpayers' money, according to Robert Jenrick, to keep open the hotels. Well, of course, where do all these legal challenges come from? Huh? Where do all these legal challenges come from? And you can see some pictures and footage of what's going on there. And, you know, it goes on. It goes on. It's quite a lengthy article. What I will do, I will leave that as a link so you can go and read it for yourselves. I think that's probably a good idea. And you can soak in what's going on with your own time. Now, when these people come to this country, we have problems, don't we? We don't know who they are, really, where they've come from, really, and what their intentions are when they get here, really. And then they get packed in hotels, and we read the things we do, we experience the things we do, and then the government, the British government, wonder why we have the problems we do. Now, a lot of this and the political football that seems to be bandied about is the ECHR, their rights over our rights. Now, the thing about the ECHR is that when they come to this country, now think about it, European Convention of Human Rights, they have the same rights as we do. That's the whole problem. They have the same rights as we do as Indigenous members of the English society in this case. So when you look at it, they're treated the same as us who have been here forever. No differently. And then from our perception, it looks bad. Now, they're all going on about removing the ECHR, coming away from the ECHR. And then you get all the lefties come out and say, "But your rights have been taken off as well." That is the problem with the rights. We are all treated equally. And then you've got the Human Rights Act in with that. Now, there is talk about removing both and having a British Bill of Rights. We don't need a British Bill of Rights, because what happens then, you enforce a separate constitution on a people that already have one. That's where we are. They don't know what to do with this problem. It's got so bad, so insanely bad, they literally don't know what to do with it. We have those rights already in our own English constitution. It doesn't take rocket science. They stopped teaching this stuff in the 1970s. A lot of judges and a lot of barristers and a lot of legal people to this day are ignorant of things that should be being enforced, which solves an awful lot of this. Constitutionalists need to get involved in things like advance, reform, or anything else for that matter, to put this country right again. And they don't. They want to integrate it with Europe. They want England regionalised into, I think it's 9 or 10 different regions. They want to destroy it, never mind the old counties and shires. They want to do similar to Scotland, Wales. Look what they've done to Northern Ireland. Slung it out on a limb over there. It should be a protectorate at the very least. Same as the Isle of Man. It's a disgrace. They're a disgrace. Now I've had my rant. I want to play you a video, which is our rights from the English Constitution. And it's very important that these things are understood.
You need to understand what the constitutional documents in our laws, right, under the common law tell you. Right of public meeting, right of association, right to protection of the law, the principles of natural justice, freedom from discrimination, right to strike, right to participate in government, whereas we're not because they're cheating at our elections, the right to privacy, social rights. All of these rights are here for everyone to understand, which we can go through. The right to property. You have the right sources of liberties, the right to personal liberty, the right to life. These are all common law. The right to property, again, freedom of expression, freedom of conscience. So you're being denied the right of prayer against our very rights and common law rights.
That was Graham Moore, head of the English Constitution Society and leader of the English Constitution Party. I am setting up an interview with a member of the English Democrats as well, which I will make public in due course. It's very important to understand that all those rights are there for you already, and they're never advertised. That shelf behind him is full of legal books, some of which are 100 years old, if not more, which contain everything that can fix a lot of this for us. It's being ignored. You know, all the people that talk about Britain and everything else, it's not about Britain. It's not about the British. It's about our own rights, our own safety, our own communities, and by God, our own culture. You know how much pride it fills me with when I see the flag of England flying on lampposts and everything. Somebody called me a flag shagger the other day. So what? I'll take that. Will you? Get out there. Show them who you are peacefully. But I do worry that it is going to kick off. Anyway, let's get a bit of comment from what you've said. We've got 1,228 people watching right now. Welcome, everybody. If you've just joined me, hit the like button, please, because that helps spread this around everywhere. Share me on your social media. Be very grateful for that. And if you're new here, please consider subscribing to the channel. Very much appreciated. Now, anyone... yeah. That's the old joke, isn't it, about the last person to enter there with honourable intentions. I think lately there's a bit of leeway in that, isn't there? The fuse has been lit on the tail of the English line. There's more English people, more English flags, more English movement, more English say-so. I'm seeing it daily. I agree with you, Penguin. I really do agree with you because, you know, people, particularly in these communities that are affected, are not going to be happy with this decision. And I think we're going to see some interesting times. I read, I think it's Maya Tusi on Twitter said that he's going to be hot-footing it to a hotel because he can see it kicking off and he obviously wants to cover it. Julie Keys put under pressure from the Home Office. It's the last straw. Sack all of them. They're all traitors to the people. That's the problem. I mean, you know, Starmer and everybody else, they're the ones at the front of this taking all the crap. But it's the guys in the civil service and anyone else in the background we don't see are the ones that are controlling all of this. Probably most of them are bloody Fabians. If you don't know what one of those is, look. There's a link I left on my X account a couple of days ago. And if you read it, it's horrific what is actually governing us right now. It really is. Hello, people. Hello, the English Cockney. Are you a proper English Cockney, I wonder? And good to see you. Jilly Kittens, hello to you. I did see your comment about not being here for the earlier one. That's no worries. You're here now, and you can always watch any of my stuff on catch up and replay as well. Tony, people, you all need to start looking into Mesh Core. It's an offline communication system. It's how we can organize. Oh, okay. I'd actually never heard of that. But there's a lot of old things coming back. It's like in Bournemouth, and I've seen it in another place as well, where residents are patrolling the streets because they're concerned about the welfare of their loved ones, and they're being called vigilantes. This is another thing, something called Ward and Watch. It was in the old days, before the time of the peelers, the original peelers, Robert Peel and the Met and everything else, where members of the local community banded together and went out and kept an eye on things. People feel they have no choice. All animals are equal, but some animals are more equal than others. English bottle. Yeah, you got it. Absolutely. Deborah Daniel. It's very, that's people's natural reaction, isn't it? And I can understand why. But at the end of the day, he could be a good judge for all we know. He could have participated in many cases with favourable outcomes for all we know. And a lot of them are bound by these silly rules and regs like the ECHR. Going back to that video of Graham's that I played, that's really where we should be. And all of that is hidden. It's there for us. And it's overlaid with all of this other fluff. It really is despicable, to be quite honest. Courts and justice flows and goes with legal precedent. Once on thing about a certain topical subject is ruled in a case that sets a legal precedent, and other cases are likely to be similar. I can see them trying that. I really can. But at the end of the day, these counties, these shires need to remember how things used to be. All these county halls, for example, what were they there for? Just think about it. Resuscitant Echo, this is a win for us. The more people the government push over the edge, the less likely leftists survive the coming years. Starmer's government's finished. He won't survive this. Labour won't survive this. They'll be as in the gutter as the Tories. They really will. Gillikin 777. Don't you think all of this is very? Yeah, I do. Somebody somewhere, it's like a nudge unit in action. They know precisely how to make us all kick off, and you're seeing it in the news, and the mainstream media will wind it up to a crescendo as well. That's for sure. Rebellious J, thank you very much for the £5 super chat. British Revolution is ramping up. We can't wait 4 more years. I think, or I hope, something will give sooner. I really do. It has to. What other alternative is there? Red Squirrel, this is exactly what the government wants, to bring in the anti-freedom digital ID cards. Stay calm. Yeah, we have to be peaceful. We can't allow it to be seen that we're the ones rocketing anything off, because what will happen, it will give them the excuse they need. I was made aware of a video that the Black Belt barrister did the other day where he walked around China saying how wonderful it all was. Look, I can use my phone for this, I can use my phone for that, app for this and app for that. Oh, great. What happens if you piss off the system? They'll just take it all away from you like that. You have no control over anything. I don't know about you, but I'll stick with the old cash, thanks. Peter Krugel, they're saying your children will have to stay. Worrying. That is very worrying. There's a lot of very, very ill feeling out there. Rebellious J, thanks again for the £5 super chat. Advance can be in place way before 2029 if we work. Yeah, I mean, Advance are really making strides, aren't they? And I support Advance because I see that as a platform for, the kind of change we possibly need. But at the end of the day, I'm English. I'm not British. I'm English. I speak English. That's what's in here. We all need to remember where we came from and look for ways that we can affect change, work within the system to change it and advance. Look at what they're doing. People are seeing what reform are day by day, and they're not what we thought they were. Advance has come along, and perhaps there's something there. But then you have other people with other knowledge as well. You've got Graham Moore, and you've got others that, I mean, Graham has spent 30 years reading about the Constitution, learning about how the individual components of this country should work. And all that knowledge is lost to time. I mean, around the time where we were signed up to the European Communities Act, which in itself should be abolished, they stopped teaching the Constitution in schools. And when you work out the reason why, and the two events together, you start to realize, you start to wake up and start to see the wood from the trees. Don't, BX01, don't. I appreciate the sentiment. You know, comments like that, while I appreciate them, you know, you've got to be careful in this day and age, haven't you? Ivan, a massive dump. I stand tall, stand proud. Most of us stand together. England, exactly. And see what they're doing to the English at the end there? That black flag. I bet that's supposed to be a George Cross. Wouldn't surprise me. Wouldn't surprise me in the slightest. Gary Taylor, Ubadum Farah Starmer wins again by using barrister skills in the corrupt woke UK courts. Absolutely. He's obviously had a hand in this, hence the title, Starmer wins. But what you have to realise is what they've got to work with, these judges. You know, I'll give you an example. If you went to Grok and you typed into Grok, what is the United Kingdom? Is it a country or a political union? Grok will tell you a double answer. It will say the United Kingdom is a political union. And according to international law, it's a sovereign country, a sovereign state. So then you say to Grok, forget international law. What is the United Kingdom? Oh, it's a political union. So the point I'm trying to make is a lot of this international law is affecting everything that's happening here. And I don't know about you, I'm not bloody interested. I care about a number of things. Me, my wife, my kids, my country, in that order. What the hell's international law got to do with me? And a lot of people on the streets right now are probably thinking the same. There was a document, actually, Bruno, where I saw something along those lines. But again, you never know about behind closed doors, do you? Anthony Smith, again, you know, that's what people are going to think. That's what people are going to think. Tony, thank you very much for the £10 super chat. Very much appreciated. People, you need to look up Mesh Core. It's a communication device that works off band. It's how we'll be able to keep communications going, man. Right. Well, I think you said that in another one earlier, didn't you? But again, thank you very much for the £10 super chat. Very much appreciated. Angie, I can see that. Yeah. That's the kind of thing that happens when things go too bad or too mad, isn't it? Let's see. I hope not. This is a very interesting thing, isn't it? And it's open to debate, Andrew, because if you look in America, you have the Second Amendment. And again, I point to America. Where do you think a lot of their constitutional rights came from? They came from England. And if you look up the Constitution, England, we do still have that right, though it's superseded by the Firearms Act and various other things that make it very difficult. You look what happened to that girl in Scotland that tried to defend herself. I mean, that's a well-known piece as well. Sling the traitors, if they want to bend over and take it off invaders, does not mean we have to. Yeah. Well, they keep saying they speak for all of us, which isn't necessarily the case, is it? Most High, the system is corrupted to the core. I do believe you're right, Most High. I really do. Julia Ashmore with the original English flag in your profile picture. Wonderful. All the English do is talk, talk and wait. Well, I think there's more than talking going on now. You know, on social media, you're seeing loads of pictures, loads of videos, loads of news, loads of text. And I've been saying for a while now, if you know something, teach it. If you can be somewhere, be there. If you have a flag to fly, fly it. If you have culture, show it. People need reminding of exactly who and what we are, that is for sure. Nancy Reid, a Prime Minister who puts third world, mostly criminals, before the rights and well-being of the country's citizens. How dare he? Let's take what we deserve. To hell with globalists. No more. We are done. That is the general feeling out there for sure. Many of you feel exactly the same way. I mean, I have the worries that things are going to turn because people won't be happy with this. I hope things remain peaceful. And things don't kick off, but you just don't know now. They're too expected. A lot of people are thinking, is it meant? Is that what's going to happen? Is that what they want? And really, these counties, these shires, the individual countries in Britain, hell, the UK for that matter, need to really think long and hard about what's going on. You've got career politicians all over the place, but you know, shortly there's got to be pockets within these places that think, hang on a minute, and they've got enough knowledge that, you know, change can happen. There's lots of ways this can go, and all we can do is keep reporting, keep repeating, keep educating. And what else can we do? Well, wow, 1,668 people watching me right now. Very much appreciated, all of you. So we've done that, gone through the comments. If you haven't done so already, please hit the like button on this. Very much appreciated. Helps the algorithm push my garbage about everywhere. Subscribe to the channel if you're a newbie. I'd appreciate that as well. Share me on your social media. Share me everywhere. We need to stick together and get the word out. And as always, I will look forward to talking to you soon. Toodaloo.